Still 2-1.
Yeah. Half an hour to go.
Right, we're on. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November meeting of Hayfield Parish Council. The meeting is being recorded for viewing at a later time. To receive apologies from absence.
Councillor Bevins,
Just the one apology.
just one apology.
Okay. Variations order of business. I think agenda item 17 needs to be in part 2 with the public excluded. It's regarding the staffing matter. Are we all agreed about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else, is there?
No.
No. Okay, so we'll move 17, so we'll go from 16 to 18. Declaration of interests.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Kath.
Item 10A and B. Again, they're friends of mine.
Right. Okay, so you're not going to take any part in that?
No.
Any discussion?
No, if that's all right.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to request a dispensation on matters in which they have a pecuniary interest? Nope. Okay. We've already decided on the exclusion of the public for item 17. The standard fare on this is the public speaking, but not while we're having to meet by Zoom. Minutes of the meeting of the 7th of October.
You want to do any borough councillor or representation?
I'm sorry, I always miss that out, don't I? I should know better. Do you want to say anything, Eva?
I'm just still continuing battling with the traffic problems and the parking problems. And I think it'll go a bit quieter now once the lockdown comes. So hopefully we'll get over that one till the lockdown finishes.
Okay, thanks for that, Eva. I've nothing to discuss regarding the borough. Okay, for the second time, then we'll move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. To confirm the minutes of the 7th of October Parish Council meeting.
I'll propose.
Thanks, Eva. Somebody second them?
Yes, I'll second.
All right, thanks, Kath. That's me. All in favour? Happy with those?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and to note the Finance Committee draft minutes of the 21st.
Is that if you like?
Thanks, Jackie.
I'll second them.
All right. Okay. All in favour of that? Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next, chair's announcements. Well, I think really is to express a bit of disappointment. Not for the first time that I've heard this, but you know, we are parish councillors, we're volunteers, and yet we seem to be getting criticism for doing either things that are not our responsibility. We are doing our best. You know, the traffic issues, as Eva's already alluded to, she's putting a lot of effort in there in on Valley Road. I know it has moved the problem to a certain degree, and we're working on that.
Tony, you said Valley Road, it's Kinder Road you meant.
Sorry, Kinder Road. I'm sorry, Kinder Road. The speed sign as you go into Little Hayfield. Andrew Bingham and I got the funding for that. And recently the speed gun, which has been requested, which we've provided funding for, and again, you know, if it wasn't for the parish council, we're adopting the phone boxes. The solar farm wouldn't have happened without us, and many other things. And I just wish that people would appreciate that, or if they think they can do a better job, put up at the election. It's quite easy. It doesn't cost them money, and I do find it disappointing. I mean, we have people saying that we should have meetings. You know what we're supposed to do: break the law and have a meeting. So I do find it disappointing, and without being self-congratulatory, I do think that that we're not doing a bad job all around. So, end of rant, and I'll move on to Clark's report. Andy.
It's quite a long one this time. Hopefully you all read it. Just a couple of things. I'd like to thank Councillor Lawson for the help with the phone boxes, which was a bit of some confusion with us and the borough. By the end of it, I managed to adopt 2 phone boxes and not 1, which left me totally confused. But that means there's 2, apparently, book library swaps going to take place. I hope you received the email I sent, the update that I'd emailed P. Hudson Engineering in sort of desperation about the Valley Road Bridge, and the update for that was after this Clark's report went out. I received an email stating it would go in the next 2 weeks, and I'd be given a firmer date so I can put signs all around the village saying don't cross the bridge, you're going to fall in. I'm still Remembrance Sunday is still a little confused. You'll know from new legislation that it could go ahead, but we haven't got confirmation yet. So as soon as we have, that will be a very small affair with just 1 parish council representative. Whoever it is, the wreath is ready and I've written it up. I won't go into the rest of the report. Hopefully it's covered all the issues from the last meeting. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Andy?
No, it looks good. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Andy, for everything you've done. I think that report was comprehensive.
Yes.
So, thanks a lot for that. So comprehensive. There's no questions. Okay, item 10 is the planning to consider application. Well, we've got A and B here, but 233 and 234, they relate to the same property. Kath's already declared an interest. I'll open the floor. Has anyone any comment to make?
I find it hard to take in that somebody starts a job and then reapplies, and some of the things that are in the application now don't match up to what the planning lady has asked. And I think it needs a close watch on it.
Okay. Has anyone else any thoughts on the matter? I think. Okay, then. Well, how do we want to play this? Do we want to say no specific comments, but we do value this building?
And yeah, they should keep an eye.
That is not a planning term, but I think it might just be sufficient to say what you want to say, even without being over critical. So is that all right, Andy? Is that
that's fine?
not planning? Okay. All right. Well, you're proposing that then, Eva. I take it.
Yeah.
And I'll second it. All in favour, please. Okay, thank you. Item 11, S137 grants, section 137 grants and donations. Shall I start this off, Andy? We get people coming to us and asking us for money, for £100 here and £100 there, and I think, we're talking about public money that we are spending, and we're not getting reports back. And I think rather than people coming along and just saying, "Oh, we'll get £100 out of the parish council," whatever, I do think that we need to be saying, if it's an organisation, we need to have sight of their accounts, and we need to know afterwards what they spent the money on. I mean, often it's very good causes, but we need to know that and be able to justify that when we're talking about public money. So I think if councillors are approached, I think we need to point out to them that these organisations, that they need to tell us where the money is spent and be accountable in the same way that we in turn have to be accountable. Andy, do you want to add anything further to that?
Yeah, we haven't done too many this year, but you're right. If the policy which I asked you to approve last year, does ask for a follow-up, and I think I've been a bit remiss there. So I think we'll get a little bit more tight, for that word, and follow the policy. So I'll go through what we have 137, for want of a better word, this year, and just ask for feedback from the people. I think I can't think of anyone who wouldn't, but you're right. We certainly do want to see accounts when we're doing these, because it's the right thing to do, and it was in the policy. So taking it forward, I think I'll do a review of what we have given out this year and seek the feedback that is written into the grants policy.
Has anyone any comments?
Yeah, can I?
Yep.
I agree with everything you've said, Tony. They don't realise that it is their money we're spending, and they can't criticise us for what we're not doing and yet keep coming for handouts.
Yeah.
I was going to say exactly the same. It ties in with what Tony was saying there. I mean, we do an awful lot of good things, and it would benefit us as well as the village to be able to see what those things are. And it might well come down to the 137s and £100 here or there, but it'd be good for us to be able to collate that, and bring it together, really, because you're right. You know, there's so many people where it's very easy to criticise or to just think that we don't do anything at all, and we're a very active council. Every agency, I think, that we've dealt with has written emails praising how professional and serious we are as a council. So, and this forms part of everything that we do, and people do need to know about it, actually.
And there's another point, Tony. When we give money to something to be done, it should have the poster at the side so everybody can see it, which didn't happen with the apple juice.
Actually, it did. I took some photos with the parish.
No, but you couldn't see the parish council sign.
Well, they've not been published then. I'll send them to Andy. I took one which only had the parish council A board and the apples.
Oh,
so
right.
we need to put that on our site. I took 3 or 4 shots that had the parish council sign. Probably.
Eva, Eva, I think it would be nice if they publicised the fact that we. But I think it would be rather difficult for us to say you must. No,
I know what you mean.
Display the support, because in some instances it's not possible. I think it'd be nice if they could publicise it, but I don't think we can make that a condition.
I don't think it's a rule. It's just a nice courtesy thing for the parish council.
It would be nice, but yes, it would be helpful. Has anyone else anything to add to that? Dave?
Well, and then Jackie, I think she's... but we could put the photo up, Eva. And it was very prominent, actually. It was the sign that faced the road, so most people saw that. So I'm sure Andy can put that up somewhere.
Yeah, no problem.
Jackie, you want to add something?
I'd like to ask a question. Do you happen to have a list of the 137 grants that we've made already this year?
I can say what will be put to 137. A lot of them have been internal to ourselves, but we can, yeah, I can do that, Jackie. Not off the top of my head now. That's what I'm saying. I need to tighten up and almost be like a share.
Well, I imagined it was going to be part of this discussion.
I can tell you, there were the sewers. That's one. There's the leaflets for the volunteers group. There is the apple juicing. At this stage, I'd put it under 137. There is the Greener Homes Initiative leaflets. And I think that's our lot in this financial year. And you need feedback on all of them.
Right.
What was the combined spend there, Andy?
It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
It's under 1,000.
Yes, it's well under 1,000.
Beyond the
I mean,
500.
I would have said the community speed watch, but that has I've applied to our 2 borough councillors to cover the cost of that. That would have been a £500 spend. But if those come, that would have been a 137, which would have been our biggest spend. The Borough Council Initiative Fund will fund that one.
Does the bin for the football club come under that, or is that something different?
Yes, sorry, yeah, you're right. I need to go through the whole lot. Although I'm just.
We put it down on it came from the bins funding on the.
Yes, it came with the bins funding, but I could move it across. I mean, if you really want to show what I could go through the accounts, and yeah, that's a very good point, that one. I put it under bins, and it could have been 137. In fact, it should be under 137.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move it.
Back in the day, the 137 discussion used to happen in the finance meeting. People would apply for a 137, and it would be on the finance agenda to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a bad way of doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how it used to be.
Right. Well, I suppose there's no reason why I can't go back to that.
No.
Yeah, good idea.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. There's no resolution to be made there, so I'll move on to item 12.
Got a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just,
Can
I just add a point to the comment about the juice? I've got a parish council Facebook page, and there's a very nice display of David's photos on there with complete acknowledgement of the parish council's involvement in it. And I don't understand, because the parish council board, as Dave said, was facing the road. I mean, you drove into the car park, so did you not see it?
No, because you were all standing there.
That's the sort of thing I could do. If you could send me that, that's a nice, if I'm going to do a review of what the spend was, photos like that would be very useful. If you
Right,
I'll send them. I saw Kath, so I was a bit surprised, because Kath has certainly put a big array up there.
Well, that's good. That helps me with that one.
What was that? Kath's big what?
A big display.
Okay.
As the parish, is there anywhere else I should put it? Has the parish council got a Facebook page, or I couldn't find it? I had a look.
No, Andy just runs the council website.
Right.
It's perhaps something we could look at another date. Is
A Facebook page.
Well, expanding the, but having just spent a fortune on it, I don't think we'll be up for doing that just yet. Mick,
I think Jackie was in front of me, Tony. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I explain? I have brought my iPad away and not my laptop, and I can only see so many pictures at once, which I didn't realise on an iPad, or else I'd have brought something else. So do you want to go now, Mick, and then we'll.
I was just about to say basically that the actual fruit juice itself, the apple juice, was absolutely outstanding. I don't know if we've made any money on it or anything, but I know it was donations as opposed to a fixed fee. But I don't know if any of you have tasted the apple juice, but it was absolutely superb. It was as nice as I've ever tasted, to be honest.
Wait till you try the cider.
There's 5 litres of cider to come, yeah.
The cider's not ready till after Christmas. It needs to mature, But the cider, we had it with Christmas lunch last year, and it was nicer than wine. You know, it was preferable to a bottle of wine. Yeah.
Can
I think we've done that to death. I look forward to tasting the cider.
Could we put it in a newsletter?
Absolutely, yeah. There's some lovely photos.
Yeah.
David's taken some.
Thanks.
Okay, as I say, I'm struggling a bit here. I'm going to move to item 12, the Christmas 2020. Andy, do you want to give us any update that you may have, if any?
I think realistically, with a 4-week lockdown, I had a brief conversation with Councillor Bevins this morning, who's sort of accepting that we couldn't, as a parish council, prepare anything now. We will light the tree. We will put the nativity scene up and light that. We will test all our lights and light up the cenotaph. What I don't know is whether the village hall will be selling Christmas trees. Councillor Bevins would probably tell us a yay or nay on that. She did ask, and I know she's not here, she has information that New Mills is planning someone might help me out here, is trying to encourage all the households in New Mills to in effect light their windows Christmas Eve wise, to try and celebrate Christmas in the absence of anything else. But realistically, there'll be no arch. We'll light the village as best we can. And Lisa just asked whether there was any, I don't quite know how you do it, a promotion of individual lighting of people's windows. No fireworks.
I think the only update that I have is that I was reading this morning that assuming that we come out of the lockdown in 4 weeks, whenever we come out of the lockdown anyway, it will, areas depending upon the current rates of COVID will be going into 1, 2 and 3, the same as we did when we were went into the lockdown. So, but where we would be depends on the COVID number of COVID cases in High Peak. So, I think that really our hands are tied as far as us organising things. Apart from, as you say, does anyone else got any? Dave, I can see you there.
Just we normally sort of provide the trees and the lights in the village. Is there anything stopping that going ahead, Andy?
No, I'm quite happy to get the crib out, light it up, the main tree, light that up. What we feasibly can't do is the arch, because I can't guarantee it being decorated. The cenotaph will be all lit up, and it's the trees that are sold in the village and are distributed to all the shops and houses in the village come from the village store, the village hall.
Don't we provide the lights for those, or is that?
No.
No, we do our one. We light ours up above the council offices, and we light up the cenotaph, and we light the big tree. Well, the vicar does. The church provides electricity. We just provide the lights.
Be nice to see the village lit up, wouldn't it, if we can possibly encourage that.
I think we can only encourage them. We can't demand it.
Yeah.
No. Yes. Does anyone feel that there's anything more that we can that we can do? I
think we've got to leave it to the people of the village.
Yeah.
We could suggest on Hayfield Community Diary or something that that people follow New Mills's lead, because it looked absolutely beautiful in New Mills when they lit up the windows. And I think a lot of people are following suit. I've seen some very nice window displays going up already.
Yeah.
Tony,
Mick.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, just backing up what Dave was saying, do we actually each year provide the tree, and is that going to definitely go ahead?
Well, it's there, Nick. It's not going to fall down.
Right.
The very big tree, the lights that are on it have come from us. The St. Matthew's very kindly power it, and any day now I'll be out testing that the lights are still working, because if they're not working, then boy, we've got a problem. Because it's quite. But
we won't be having the official opening ceremony like we sometimes do.
We can't.
We can't.
No, we can't.
No.
I mean, in theory, you can, but we do not have the staff or the facilities to make it COVID safe. We just can't do it.
And we've got cases in the village, so we're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone thinks of anything we as a parish council can do or authorise more lights or anything on our land per se, then please make a suggestion. We're always willing to do more, but other than what we've got at the moment, I'm a bit clueless.
Andy, do you feel that there might be a call upon the parish to provide more in the way of lighting or anything? I asked that question in respect of do you want approval from the parish to have a fund if needed?
I mean, just a second. We might have it. I'll just check through. It might be there, and I'd go to finance if I needed to use it. I'm just checking.
Okay.
I think.
There's a finance meeting in 2 weeks.
You've actually given me in this year's budget 750 if I need it.
Right.
If I wanted to use it, I'd go to finance and request authority to use it, which will be in a couple of weeks. So if anyone thinks of anything in the next fortnight that I could use it for, then I'd seek authorization from finance.
Yeah, something that's worthwhile anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that, Andy. 13, the Hayfield allotments tenancy agreements. Now, we've all received this. Has anyone anything that they want to ask of Andy regarding the? There you go. Yeah, this is the key part, is it, Andy?
That's the key part. It was the termination, because if I go up a little bit, if we wish to terminate a tenancy, we can, just giving either 6 months or 1 month's notice with no reason whatsoever. That's at 3A. That's this one here. Don't need any reason. B, this is to do with the change of use of the land. Again, that comes from the Allotments Act. But lastly, there's this one, which is it's to do with the Allotment Society and their running of the allotments. And I wanted to tighten it up considerably, almost like a two strikes and you're out. But the Allotment Society that I met with, their committee, are a little friendlier than me. And in effect said that if there was a failure at an inspection and they're changing their rules and guidelines to meet it, there'd be 8 weeks to rectify matters. If it wasn't, then it would come to me for a 4-week deadline. But if it was rectified and then that tenant didn't go wrong, should we say, in the next 3 inspections, then the slate was clean. However, if it comes to yours truly, then there's just 4 weeks to get it sorted, and if that fails, you're off. But then, if you're here, I've written into 3 an appeals procedure, which just wasn't clear in the last tenancy. It just wasn't there, although it was referred to in the Constitution. So it's for your consideration. The Allotment Society Committee say the Parish Council are the landlords, and they are happy with this wording and are changing their constitution, or attempting to. They need a 2/3 vote at an AGM, which they're doing their best to match it. So I distributed it as early as I could for your consideration.
Okay. Has anyone any comment or query of Andy?
I notice also that I don't know if this is new or not, because I'm not that familiar with the old agreements, but you did put in something about only manure was to be used as a fertilizer. Is that something new?
No, that was in there before. That was the fairly green society. They put some more climate-friendly recommendations into the tenancy pack and the rules and guidelines. And I thought they were just they were waiting for approval, but they'd put them in red to draw attention to them. Yeah, that was already in there.
Right. Oh, that's good news.
I'm flitting about,
Dave,
so I'm probably making you all
Dave,
go.
were you just moving your screen, or did you want to make a point, Dave?
Right, sorry, moving the screen. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'd like to make a point, if I may.
Yes,
Very
please
quickly.
do.
It's only terribly minor, but at the very end, you've got a name and you've got an address and a phone number.
Oh, dear, that's coming off. Hang on a second.
That's what I thought. But apart from that, it looks good to me. Right at the bottom. Right at the bottom. Keep going. Keep going. It's the very bottom of the
I'm
document.
trying not to show it. You mean?
Well, don't show it.
Yeah, right, well, I'm
We'll
not
leave
showing
it at that. We'll leave it at
Yes.
that.
Oh, yes, many apologies. I cleared it from the top, and obviously that's my example. If this is passed, is it resolved to go with that? Then on 15th of November, I think it's November or 15th of December, when the new rents go out, that will be included with the new rules and guidelines and tenants pack, and it will all be enforced for the coming year.
Brilliant.
Okay. Well, I think we all seem to be. In fact, I think you've done a good job tying that up. Thanks very much for that, Andy. I move that we adopt this as the new tenancy agreement for the allotment society.
And I'll second it.
All those in favour? Yep. Okay, we all agree. Still with the allotment society, item 14 is the gate replacement and owl box purchase.
Right. This is my fault again. I was obviously carried away, having reached great agreement with the tenancy agreement, and noted that there had been no expenditure from the difference between the monies coming in and the insurance, and foolishly said, surely there must be some work needs doing, i.e. that gate that's falling apart, and which this committee went, oh yes. And at the same time, they'd had problems with mice attacking the potatoes this year. And the green solution to that apparently is owls and other predators. So they were only going to ask for a couple of owl boxes. And I foolishly said, I think you need a new gate, which is going to be considerably more expensive than the deficit. But that thing is falling apart. So I'm looking for permission to research a like-for-like substantial replacement, and the owl boxes, which are something like 20 quid.
Have they got not enough money to cover it, Andy?
If I look, I don't normally transfer monies that isn't spent forward. But if I look back to the last financial year, what I didn't spend then, combined with what I certainly haven't spent this year, then it would just about cover it.
That's fine.
Just about, and it might be that you reduce what they do next year. When I add it all up, say, well, actually, you've spent what was left over last year, what's this year, and you spent a bit of next year, then we'll just control it so it all balances over a 3-year period. Because a gate is a big investment. I've still got one to buy for Little Hayfield that was authorised several months ago, but I couldn't get because of COVID.
I think Councillor Jones wants to make a point.
No, I just proposed it.
Sorry. Okay. Will somebody second it then? Let's move on.
I'll second it.
Thanks. All in favour? Thank you. Item 15, the Decarbonise grant scheme. Some of us attended that Zoom meeting with DCC. Can't remember the lady's name now, which I found quite interesting. Left me very supportive. I don't know about anyone else want to make a counter argument. Nope. Well, in that case, then, are we going to endorse and support it?
Yeah,
The DCC grant scheme for small, medium
Jackie
businesses.
wants to come in, Tony.
No, I was just going to do exactly that.
Okay, well, we'll say that Dave's moved it. Jackie seconded it. Are we all in favour? Okay, great. Talking of Zoom meetings, agenda item 16. Some of us attended a meeting with an employee of NALC regarding the tree charter. Now, I think there's 3 ways that we can go with this. I think we either adopt the tree charter as it stands, and I think there's 59, if I remember rightly, conditions, some of which don't apply to a parish council, but some of them could be deemed to be costly if we're challenged about them. The second option is to say, well, we'll adopt it. But based on the advice from Nell, one of the co-sponsors of the charter, we do so long as there's no financial commitment upon parish council. Or thirdly, we can say thanks very much, but no thanks, we don't need to do it. I throw it open for comments, and who wants to speak? Mick first, and then Dave.
As you know, I was fully in support, and also when I came to, I think her name was Claire, to the presentation she gave on the Zoom. I also spoke to Andy afterwards, and I think that most of us, or all of us, are now, well, perhaps not all of us, are satisfied, or Andy seemed to imply that he was satisfied that there's not a great legal comeback on us in any way if we do sign up to it. I think everyone was in agreement that the actual, the whole sentiment of the planting the trees and getting the trees was a good idea if we are to get carbon, because as we all know, trees are a great way of capturing carbon. But I think wanted to, at the last meeting, possibly express reservations about it could come back to be a financial penalty for us. But I think Claire allayed any fears we had in that regard. And I think Andy's follow-up backed that up. Am I correct there, Andy?
I reminded Claire of the question Tony asked, which he was looking for written confirmation. I've just shared that particular email, and the email I got back from Claire was the one I circulated to you all, and it's whether you are satisfied with what she's written, whether that will remove any future obligations upon the council. So it's really, as Tony says, it's what you think of that email that you received from Claire. We can't really give any more information. It is your opinion based on what you've been told. And Tony's given you the three options, so debate away.
Do you still have doubts about that, Tony?
Yeah, I do. I should be advocating the middle option, in that we signed the tree charter based upon the advice from Nell, one of the co-sponsors, but do not commit to any future financial obligation or undertaking. That's the option that I should be supporting, but it's for each of us to reach their own conclusion. Dave, you're...
Yeah, could you put the thing up again, Andy?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think that's what NALCA are advising, isn't it? That there would be no obligation to adhere to these 50. They're aspirational, aren't they? Are they? I presume. I didn't see the actual presentation. Once the council has signed up to the charter, there's no obligations to adhere to the suggestions. So we're not signing up to the suggestions, are we? Is that the middle way, in fact? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I think the middle way I'm saying is that we say at this stage that we're not going to get involved in any future financial obligation. I think that the other two options are to say, yes, we sign up for this, on which some may support, obviously mix of that view, and the other end of the spectrum is to say, no, we're not interested in this.
Tony,
sorry,
Dave.
Yeah, I'm just coming back because it was me on that, but it would be difficult for us to sign up now to anything that would commit us to financial obligation in the future, wouldn't it?
Well, once you've,
I agree.
You've perhaps not gone through the 59 conditions of the summary of the tree charter, but one of them is strengthening important habitats with new planting, create transport networks for wildlife as well as people, sustain precious and vulnerable woodland habitats. Now, what I would argue to you, Dave, is that somebody could say, you're not carrying this out, you must, there they are there, yeah.
Yeah.
59 of them. You've signed up to this charter. You're obliged to follow the 59, and you're not doing it. That's my concern. That we will get hit with. Anyway, I've said enough. Let's move. Who else wants to speak?
Yeah, Tony, can I just come back on that?
Later, Mick, or else
Okay.
we'll be to and froing all the time. But we'll bring you back later, promise. Eva, did you want to say something?
I agree with you, Tony.
All right. Has anyone else got a view that they want to? Unfortunately, I can't see Jackie. And do you want to speak?
No, I think people have summarised it quite well.
Okay. Right, Mick, you come back. Wait, I'm surprised Kath's not said anything.
No, I know that other village residents have engaged with the tree charter. I was going to put that in my report about in the reports from the climate committee. But Tony Moss has arranged, with support from the Woodland Trust, to plant 550 trees late autumn, winter on private land within the village. Volunteers will be required to assist that. So he's done that totally independent of the parish council.
Yeah.
So no matter what you agree or don't agree, 550 trees are going to get planted in Hayfield, which...
Well,
yeah,
if we can find homes for them, so much the better.
There's already been a Woodland Trust initiative involving Tony Moss and volunteers some years ago. There's that fairly large field.
I think that's one.
Sorry?
I think that might be where these 500 are going. Plattswood.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a family who donated their land and worked with the Woodland Trust. So I don't know about Tony Moss, but certainly the landowner has already planted a lot from the Woodland Trust. And it's probably a good time to replant, because some of the trees have survived well and others haven't. So they're probably going to make up for losses and plant a bit of new territory.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, as Kath's reporting that, and lots of these things will keep happening. But I must admit, I don't see how we can sign up, if you like, to 59 things, some of which are way out of our competence. We can support things as they arise, can't we? Because we're signing up on the middle way to the spirit of the charter, but we're saying that we'd have to consider 59 conditions as and when any of that came up for us within that framework. So, I mean, the middle way sounds sensible to me, in that we're saying we support the principle of this, but anything that was costed or outside of our competence, we couldn't possibly sign up at this stage, could we?
All right, Mick, bring you back in.
Will the middle way still allow us to be, if you like, included in the National Tree Day that they have in November, the big celebration where we can make it a sort of, if you like, an annual parish event where we sort of throw our support behind that, just to show everybody that we're still totally going forward with the climate initiative. This is the spirit of the whole thing, which Claire sort of summed up really well in our Zoom meeting. Really impressed me. And I just thought, if we're sort of really buzzing still about getting behind all environmental initiatives, then I would go for the first option. But if you feel that the second option will still include us in all the, if you like, the positive ramifications of the whole thing, that would be something I would vote for. I'm not sure if I'm totally convinced that your concerns about all these things are backed up by the risks attached. I don't know. You're more experienced in that regard than I am.
I think, Mick, that it based on the, if we pass a resolution which along the lines of what I've suggested. And given the information that we've had from NELC, who one of the co-sponsors, I think that's a belt and braces job on covering the parish council for potential future cost, which could be very significant if you take one or two of these things. But we could still go along and sign this tree charter. That's my understanding of it. Okay.
We'd still be a part of it then, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I can see, Mick, we'd still be a part of that. And then as individual things arise within that framework that come under that umbrella, we could vote to support them or not as parish council. Some would imply costs, some would imply competence. You know, as a council, there are some things on there that we can't do.
Mm.
And it's great that individuals are then taking that initiative. For instance, Tony Moss with the tree planting. But it's some of these are things that we can't do anyway. Whereas if we sign up to the charter in principle, we can then, you know, councillors can then bring individual things as they occur, and we can support them or not. Is that right, Tony? I think that's,
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
could I just
Yes, please do.
one comment? Claire was questioned on this quite intensively during her presentation, and she assured us that these were just aspirational, and she's put it in writing as well. She's assured us there would be absolutely no obligation, and she has confirmed that in writing. So I know you have to err on the side of over caution, but I don't know what more the Woodland Trust can do to reassure you that this is just about mitigating carbon dioxide to offset, to try and reduce the climate crisis. It's not about, I don't think it's about legal obligations or financial obligations. She's stressed that twice in verbally and in writing. So, but who am I? Yeah.
Okay, Dave.
I mean, in some ways, if they're aspirational, there could be more or whatever, but a lot of them wouldn't apply to us in any circumstances. I can't see the middle way. I think what we're doing with the middle way, from what I understand it from Tony, is we're signing up in principle to supporting it. And as and when things come up, we can discuss them as a council. But I don't see there's a problem in this case. To actually list 59 aspirational things, some of which don't apply anyway, we might as well sign up to what Tony's describing as the middle way, which is saying we're in favour in principle with this idea, and as and when things do arise, we'll vote on them.
All right, I'm going to make a proposal, and my proposal is that Hayfield Parish Council sign up to the tree charter, and based upon the advice from NELC, as one of the co-sponsors of the charter, in that this council is not committed to any actions which will carry financial obligation or undertaking.
I'll second that.
My proposal. Eva
I'll
seconded it. I can't see you on the screen, but can I ask people to show? All those in favour of that. So there's Mick, Dave, Eva, me, that's 4.
Got
Jackie?
6.
Yes,
Sorry?
yes.
Has that carried?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's carried. So we signed the tree charter, but we note in our minutes.
Can we have it, people's names noted back tick?
Oh, we all did.
Well, you should have asked for recorded vote, really. Eva.
Sorry,
Asked before.
There's no need for that, but
Yeah.
surely. But it doesn't mean we won't spend. It just means
That's right.
we're automatically committed to spending. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll spend as we can afford to spend.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. agenda item 18, group reports. I don't think there's much here. Little Hayfield advisory group's not met.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to, and it's a bit of a mixed response. The only thing I've got out of Little Hayfield is they stepped up to the mark when I managed to adopt more telephone kiosks than I expected to adopt. They've followed through on the resolution passed for £500 worth of work on the clough management plan, made a series of recommended works from it, which has been passed to their third contractor, who has committed to work to the value of £500 or less, if it's less, in December. And I'm hoping they'll be very happy when their community speed watch gets off the ground when we get out of this lockdown. So they've met, but they've done a few things.
Right, great. Traffic Management Committee, has anything there?
Just the same as I've reported. One thing is, people still don't understand that we can't put yellow lines down tomorrow. Any yellow lines take up to 2.5, 3 years, which you'll agree, Tony.
Well, they certainly seem to take longer than that, Eva, but
Yeah.
yes.
And the other
Thinking of
thing
Little
is,
Hayfield when I say that.
we've got yellow lines in the village, and as the traffic men say, most of them are local that are parking on the yellow lines. And a lot of local people are driving to Kinder to take a walk. Thanks.
Okay. Climate emergency. Mick, are you...
No, I mean, the three things that me and Kath brought last time have been covered in the last 2 meetings. I actually wasn't at the last one because I was working that evening. I don't know if you have anything to report on that last meeting, Kath.
The home grants thing, the leaflet has been printed and distributed. It's fully distributed.
Yeah.
And apparently Graham has had a couple of inquiries about it already. So that's a bit of a success. Yeah, he has said that he's been highly critical of the scheme, and he's done some research and he's found a few contractors, because you've got to work with government approved contractors. And he's found a few of them up, and they said that they can't take on any more orders because they're totally backed up. So he is hopefully going to challenge the government that this cannot possibly be completed by March. They've just set completely impossible targets that cannot, the contractors cannot cope with the workload that they've got. So but in spite of that, he's ploughing on, because he's determined that, you know, if the governments have set this up, then they've got to come through with it. So, you know, they can't or whether they're just using it as a bit of greenwash to say, oh, we've given so much to you know, sort of reduce carbon outputs and reduce energy use, when they haven't, which is the usual thing. But as I say, the leaflets have been done. There's a couple of people who know exactly what they're doing on the end of a phone to help people with the application. So that's a win-win. Yeah.
I think the beauty of the leaflet, and thanks very much for passing that, is that it does give an opportunity for people who aren't computer literate to get a gist of what's going on.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
I think not only that, but yeah, I regard myself as semi-literate anyway when it comes to computers. But you know, people are just unaware of it. You know, they get on with things in their lives. I mean, I knew of the forerunner to this scheme, but when it lapsed, in all honesty, it's been running quite a while before I knew about it again. So, you know, and I regard myself as fairly switched on with these things, but it's been going for a long time before I knew about it. And I'm sure many other people in that sort of position didn't know. Okay, item 19 is reports from outside bodies. The first one listed here is the allotments. Well, I don't think there's anything there. We've already done that. Educational charity, I don't think there's anything there, is there, Eva?
No, not at the moment.
Football club, Jackie or Mick, have you anything about the?
Yeah, I don't know if Jackie's got anything to say. I've got a couple of things to say.
No,
Well, you say those and then we'll ask Jackie.
Yeah, we've, I don't know if it's relevant to everybody, but we've had a couple of initiatives that I thought you might like to know about. One is that the local new business, the newest business that started in town, as far as I'm aware, the Flower Fox, have become a club sponsor, and they've sponsored a new, Eva's seen these, and I think a few of others have seen them, water bottles, which will allow the lads not to bring plastic bottles to every game and discard them. So they put quite a few quid up. We got 250 of these made up with the football club emblem on it and the Flower Fox logo. So they've sponsored that, and it's sort of in line with their sustainable policies. The people who own the shop are quite keen on that. The other thing is, as far as my team are concerned, this is not a football, all the teams in the Hayfield Juniors Club.
I have a feeling you're not going to tell us the bottom of the league, Mick.
No, we're not bottom of the league, no, but this is nothing to do with progress report on the field. Off the field, we've decided to have a collection amongst the parents for the local New Mills Food Bank. And I only mentioned it at training, not the Monday just gone, but the Monday before that. And the Monday just gone, we got a massive response from the parents. So we've got loads of stuff that we're going to drop off at Christmas to the food bank. So that's something I thought I'd report on.
But there's one or two results, Mick, aren't there, that you might mention?
Yeah, we hammered Reddish in the cup. Is that the one you're referring to?
I think it might be, Mick. Yeah.
We beat Reddish 5-2 in the cup at their ground.
Whoa!
Minute.
Whoa, fantastic.
We've actually got a very good side this year, but that's something for another day.
Yeah, well, I've lost interest in football anyway.
I have,
So
apart from
loser.
grassroots football, which is a great shame it's stopping. We're a bit disappointed.
Yeah,
Jackie,
absolutely.
have you anything to add?
No, I don't.
Okay. Village Hall.
It's
No.
closing for, it's having to close its doors again because of
Yeah.
the lockdown.
Yeah.
So that's the only update, Lisa.
Arden Quarry, I've reported it twice in the last month of smelling, but nothing other than that. It is only topsoils that are being brought at the moment. So hopefully the smells will have a limited life. Hayfield Quarry, anything there?
Oh,
No.
I'm not aware that anything's happened. And of course, we're not meeting, are we?
No. Community Orchard project.
I'd like to ask 2 questions after Tony, please.
Okay. Kathy, you.
Sorry, did you want to speak, Eva? Sorry.
No,
No.
she says she wants to ask something about it, but you carry on, Kath.
Right, well, we've gathered all our fruits of our labour, and we got them bottled. We got the apple juice bottled anyway, and we gave them away for donations, in exchange for donations. My understanding is that we took about 200 quid last Saturday, but there are still about a dozen bottles that Kath Moss has taken because they were requested. So I haven't got the full figure yet. And then we've got the cider will be ready. It's fermenting at the moment, and that'll be ready after Christmas. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it before Christmas. We've got 2 pruning sessions planned for November. To lock the branches off, and then that's the end of the season. And as I say, I will be producing a report The last report I sent was March, but if you want one earlier, that's no problem. And you can have all the glorious photos of the Hayfield Parish Council sign with the bottles of apple juice. And the feedback has been absolutely wonderful. It's been a very popular project, and it's cheered the village up, I think.
Good stuff, Kath.
Yeah,
Right.
great.
Yeah. Evie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Andy, the Orchard Project people keep saying their money. Have they got actually any money in the bank at the moment?
This was something we discussed when we set the budget at the beginning of this year. In previous years, I kept seeing an earmarked reserve for Community Orchard, but then I was seeing receipts that were for the Community Orchard that weren't coming off this earmarked reserve, which made me think, well, it shouldn't be there. And it looked to me, looking at it, was the Community Orchard. It must have been set up with grants, monies somewhere, I don't know. But that 750, as it were, to my mind, looking back at old accounts, he had gone. And looking to the future and looking for this year, I thought, well, the Community Orchard is owned by ourselves. It's being managed by ourselves, and therefore Kath can come forward with requests for funds for the Community Orchard. That's how we dealt with it this year. Next year, and certainly it's not far off now when we get to January, February, and we start to split the budget for next year. Kath, as the person, our nominee for the Community Orchard, may ask to put a certain amount of money from the overall budget earmarked for the Community Orchard next year, based on by that stage 2 years experience of running it. So the simple answer is no. I don't think there's anything left of that earmarked reserve, which is why I wiped it off the earmarked reserves from this year's budget, but made sure that within other works I was ready to get costs coming in to cover the Community Orchard.
Thank you.
Future years you may apportion part of the budget for it, but I would never call it an earmarked reserve anymore.
Thanks. And the other question is, those bottles that the apple juice went out in, has there been any sort of arrangement made for those to come back and go back to the man who sold them to us with a sale of return?
Sorry, no. We instructed people when they took the bottles that they could either recycle them or use them in the domestic, because they're very attractive bottles. You could decant a bottle of wine into them and put them on the table, but no is the answer.
I think that's something that could be done next time.
I agree with that, Eva. Yeah.
We should not just, the public have actually paid for them, but being so keen on recycling and making use, in the old days, you used to take your bottle back and get
that's fair comment. I'm afraid I've no control over that, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm afraid I've no control over that at the moment, because the bottler has specified that he didn't want them back. But you're right, it's totally illogical that he doesn't want them back. So it's just a question of how and where they return them and who to.
Well, I think it's wrong they don't have them back, because they must be buying more, and then those will end up the same way.
Well, we'll discuss it. If we can think of a way or a point where people could bring them back to have them recycled, then fair enough.
The problem is
the
actual cost of bringing them back to these guys doesn't give them any incentive to do it, which is a great shame. But I agree with you, Eva, that we should definitely from now on make it a condition that they take the bottles back, even if it does cost them a few more bob to get them in.
Oh. Well, should we leave it that we'll ask them to investigate that for next year?
Yeah.
And,
it's not criticism, that, Kath. It's just something maybe we could think of going forward, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant, Nick.
Yeah,
That's what I meant. Okay, thanks for that. Item 20, finance and accounts for payment. Well, we've got the accounts for payment. Andy, do you want to talk us through this?
I take it you've all got today's payments checklist. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things on it. The occupational health assessment bill, part 1. It's an expensive job, I can tell you that. At £484.80, and then you see the 2 ancillary pieces of equipment for the community speed watch. One is the safety signs, which you'd have to set up, recommended by Derbyshire Constabulary when you're doing a speed watch check, and the safety high visibility clothing. But as I said, the cost of those 2 items is hopefully going to be recouped from the Borough Council Initiatives Fund. And the next 2 are just hardware, the cable ties going around the poppies. I think I'll put that on a 137 as well. And toner cartridges. I've taken a risk, Chair. I've bought non-brand specific ones this time to try and save us a bit of money. And those are those. So all I'm after there is that hopefully you've seen these scans of the invoices. You've checked that matches the payments checklist, and either now or after the meeting, you check that the payments I've set up on the bank account match, and 2 councillors, if resolved, will do the payments. Jackie's got a hand up.
Okay, Jackie.
I've done all 3.
All right. So could you resolve to pay them?
I propose that we pay our accounts, pay our
I'll
invoices.
second that.
Yeah, Dave seconded it. Okay, all in favour? I think we're all in favour.
And
Okay.
my usual suspects, Jackie, Kath, would you do the honours with the online banking when the meeting's over?
Should I stay logged into the meeting?
Message me when it's done.
All right, okay.
All right. And then we've got the payroll accounts there.
This is the finance report presented to the October Finance Committee, which was covering transactions for the month of September. And the biggest thing was we brought in more money than we spent, but it was the second part of the year. Any questions on that one, anyone?
No. So we just moved to note those.
Yeah, and I did the 6 monthly spend projection, which I was optimistically showing as spending to budget, but I'm realistic with it. Due to COVID, we are going to make savings on my projections, although there are some big spends coming with the tree survey, the playground equipment, the bridge goes in. But as the chair noted, or both chairs noted at the Finance Committee, we may need to make savings as we go into next year and try and catch up. Any questions on that one?
No. We'll note those.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. In view of the fact that the next item is of a confidential matter, would somebody move that the public be exempt from the meeting? Thanks, Eva.
Next,
second is Dave. All in favour of that? Okay. So if you could just give Andy a minute to end the recording.
Yeah, just note for the public that the next meeting you would agree to be Wednesday, the 2nd of December.
Yes, it is indeed. Yes.
I'll just stop the recording now. Oh, hang on.